You generated 20 sales calls in just 1 month through sending cold emails. And I know a lot of people in the audience would kill to get an extra 20 sales calls on their calendar every month. What's going on, guys? Andre Hakel Jr. here from ListKit and Client Ascension, here with another case study interview with my man Joe. What's going on, brother?
Pleasure to be here.
Likewise, dude. So I've been hearing rumblings all throughout the community, over in the ListKit Slack community, specifically on the weekly calls and whatnot, of you and your results with cold email. And as I've talked to you a little bit here off camera about why we do these interviews, it's really to show people time and time again, because there's probably 100 of these on my YouTube channel at this point, but time and time again that people are getting life-changing business results by sending cold emails. And so your results specifically that we'll talk on and dive deeper into on today's interview is how you generated 20 sales calls in just 1 month through sending cold emails. And I know a lot of people in the audience would kill to get an extra 20 sales calls on their calendar every month. And so, first off, if you could just do a quick intro of who you are and also what your business does, like what do you offer, who do you sell to, and we'll dive in from there.
Absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me. Super happy to be here. And like I mentioned before, like I love the interviews. I watch them. I get a ton out of them. So really excited to, be on the other end and provide some value back. So we do cold email lead gen for B2B companies. Our company's called Lead Flow Frontier. We started roughly around this February. The first thing I did was basically just absorb, hundreds of YouTube videos and connected with a number of people that I could find in different like Slack communities, Discord groups, and things like that. I took a course as well, like just to get started and learned a lot from the course and kind of just started following the steps. Then as I was, progressing further, I learned about client ascension from a number of, different places. I just kept hearing good things and kind of heard that it was like the next step basically in, your learning journey and growing and enhancing your operations and scaling up. So started looking into it, continued to hear good feedback, joined about, I think it's like 2 months ago now. I can't believe how fast time is going. And, since then it's just been amazing. Like I I go to I think I go every single day actually to like the training and coaching calls. There's a bunch of different ones. Like I love the sales ones and the operations ones. I get so much out of them. And no, like nobody asked me to say any of this. We didn't even prep for this. So this is totally like just me like talking. And sometimes I like when I'm watching the videos, I'm like, oh, did they tell him to say it? Nope, nobody told me nothing. But yeah, the community is absolutely incredible. I think one of the best things about being in Time Ascension is that there's so many like-minded people. And that for me is like huge. Like it's insanely motivational, but you get to connect and share insights with people, so there's people who are ahead of you, people who are behind you, same place, and you get to really help each other. And although many of the people are in, would technically be like competitors, like everyone is so helpful to each other. Like it's just because the market is, endless. So there's really, no negatives to helping people. And in my mind, the more people you help, the better off that you're going to be with your business for so many different reasons.
Love that.
Helpful.
Super helpful, Joe. Thank you for that. And yeah, my saying, even going into starting Client Ascension when we first started it, was there's enough to go around for everyone. And so we're not going to hold back sharing what we know and what we've used to have success in business, because we can share with as many people as we're fortunate enough to share it with. And there's still going to be enough to go around and then some for everyone that is willing and is putting in the work, right? Because there's a big differentiator between someone that buys access to a course or a program and actually does something with it, right? Like the amount of people that invest in themselves is already slim to begin with. The amount of people that actually take action on that course content and attend the coaching calls and continue to show up consistently, even slimmer. What's cool too is you run a cold email lead generation agency. And so what our audience is going to find super valuable is just diving deeper into cold email strategy. And so you obviously run cold email to get clients for your cold email lead gen agency, which I think is awesome. That's how we got our start as well. And then you do cold email for all of your clients. And so, like, what are some things that you're seeing working really well now? Maybe a specific script writing strategy, maybe it's a certain way you set up campaigns. Like, what have you seen work really well in cold email recently? We're sitting here in July of 2024.
Would say it's a great question, and there's no one way to kind of win, but there are definitely best practices for sure. And After you've kind of gotten your infrastructure and everything organized, which is insanely important, then the next thing in terms of like, let's say messaging and script writing is just breaking it down as logical and simple as possible. It's you just want to get your relevant message in front of the right person. So you need basically you're just working backwards from that. If you have an offer for sales training or something like that, you need to kind of sit down and actually think through and don't like overanalyze it. Just think generally, who could benefit from this? How would you pitch it to that person such that it doesn't sound like it's a robot, basically? Like if you were standing in front of that person, how would you talk to that person? And if you can try to take that frame of mind in all of your cold emails, I think that's really helpful. Like you need to ensure that you're not thinking of one to many. You need to consider that your email is sending to one human. So think one to one. How would I write this if I was just writing to one person versus, 1,000 or 10,000 or however many is on the list? And any ways that you can personalize. So let's say maybe the basics would be, company name, if you can include that, maybe their job title. And you don't have to. If it's something that would be relevant and helpful, use those things. But if you're just kind of trying to jam things in there, I think at that point it starts to feel weird in the message. A, a great tip that someone told me is just sit and read your email out loud to somebody else, and they'll tell you right away. Ask a good friend of yours. Don't ask like a stranger. Ask a good friend because they'll tell you. They'll be like, this is garbage, or like this is going right to the spam box, buddy.
Yeah, sounds
So
robotic or fake. Yeah.
exactly.
It's such a simple thing too, right? It's like boiling it down, you obviously have to put the email in front of the right person, which has a lot to do with targeting and building your leads list. But once that email is in front of them, what are you actually saying? And it's something we teach in client ascension and preach over at ListKit as well. It's like the offer and the messaging are more important than anything else. But again, you have to have the targeting right too. So there's obviously different variables at play, but when you boil it down, it's like deliverability, making sure your email gets sent and delivered into the proper inbox, targeting, making sure it's being sent and seen by the right person, and then messaging, making sure that that message draws them in, gets their attention, and encourages them enough to want to book a call and learn more. And so, my next question here, one thing I love about cold email is how easy it is to get started with, and also how cheap it is compared to other marketing and lead generation strategies out there. And I can say this from like first level experience, like we're currently running ads and sending cold emails. And if you look at the ROI of both, like it's always much cheaper to book a call through cold email. So for you, the result we mentioned at the beginning was 20 calls in 1 month of sending cold emails. Like what are the numbers behind that look like? How many leads did you have to work through to book 20 calls? How many email accounts did you have to have set up? Just so we can start to do a little bit of math here and see like what's really the cost per call, because I think that's going to shock some people that are newer to cold email to hear how low a cost per call really could be if you're doing cold email correctly.
Sure, yeah, definitely. So I target a number of different industries for a couple of different reasons. One, because I'm testing, there's always testing to see what works and where we can have some success. In terms of the number of inboxes, at that moment, I was running about 90 inboxes, I believe. At this point, we're over roughly 250 or so. But during the time that we booked the 20 calls in 1 month was the 90 inboxes. I think the ratio was roughly I want to say it was one call for every like 700 emails that went out. And then of those that we booked, I think it was like 80% got to a second call. So I usually have a two call procedure or two call close or, sales process. And then I think it was, I can't remember the exact number, but maybe it was around like 20% after the second call that we were able to close. So at this point, up to 10 clients, and all the clients were running a minimum of 30 inboxes for each. Some are more than that, depending on how much volume they were interested in sending, as well as how big their TAM is, their target audience. So each is dependent on the clients and their needs and their desires. We actually work with them on a lot of things. Like we work with them on their offer. We also provide advice for like their website or their digital presence or other things that would benefit the overall operation for both of us because cold email, what's the first thing that somebody does, when they get your cold email?
Like the
Like if they're
website
interested,
link bio.
book. Yep, exactly. Yep. So we try to help them with some best practices about what do they want people to see when they land on the website? What's the messaging that they want to portray to those particular people? We help them kind of flesh out their offer a little bit to make it a little bit more compelling if possible. Then we ensure that they're leveraging as much as possible their case studies, testimonials, client quotes, because a lot of companies do have them, but for whatever reason, they haven't managed to get it onto their website. It might just be sitting in some files or some old emails, and you just got to help them kind of dig them out. You got to work with them to help extract those things and then leverage those because as a cold emailer, that affects our results because we
Absolutely.
book less meetings if they have a negative digital presence or no presence. There are some companies still lacking websites. So providing them with guidance on how easy it is these days to get a website. Maybe they just don't know. So coaching them and working with them is really, really important in terms of success for both parties.
It's so important, bro. And it's something that we obviously focus in on a lot in client ascension, which is primarily teaching people how to install this cold email lead generation system into their business. But before we even get started with cold email, we're working on the offer with you, we're working on your landing page, and we're working on your VSL because we know, to your point, you know this as good as we do. When you send a cold email, that person is going to be investigating and seeing who is this random email that I just got. What is their website? What do they do? And if your website can stand out and it has a good VSL and you have a good social presence and you have a good offer, the differential in terms of results is huge. And so it's awesome. Like for your clients, working with you specifically, they get a huge perk in that you're an expert in other areas of running a successful business and not just cold email. The other point that's really cool there is you mentioned like 700 emails sent per one call booked. And just thinking about like ListKit's pricing, like we charge $97 for 2,000 emails every month. And so like with that math, you could get 3 calls booked with a $97 payment to ListKit. And so just thinking about the cost per call booked, obviously there's some costs as well for sending tools amongst other things, but very minimal. Leads cost is usually the highest. And so to be able to get a cost per call booked of $30 to $50 is like fractions of the cost of what we're seeing. And we're running profitable ad campaigns, but still the costs are $200 to $500 a call. And so like cold email is such a massive opportunity for that. Two more
Mhm.
points here that I want to ask your feedback on. The first one is about TAM. I love that you said you're testing multiple industries. You're targeting multiple different, you're running tests when it comes to targeting. And I think a lot of people are married to their ICP or their TAM. And they're like, oh, we can only work with these specific people, which I think in business is like foolish because you're cutting yourself short. You're not opening yourself up to more opportunities and to market expansion. And so speak to that a little bit, the importance of targeting multiple different industries, because I think a lot of people limit themselves by saying they can only work with such a rigorous and specific ICP, which a lot of times they don't even have a good reason for it.
Exactly. I don't really understand why people would want to just target one particular industry. There's I don't even know how many industries there are. There's thousands, and each of them is just opportunities waiting to be what's the good word, like used or leveraged, basically. And when you are testing, you are trying to identify what is going to be the best industry for your particular offer. And I think that with cold email becoming so popular, people are getting dozens of emails a day, some hundreds, if they're in really popular industries like tech or something like that. So you need to start looking for other less emailed people, basically, and you need to use better data sources. So like ListKit provides way more results than a lot of other tools. We have started using it for all of our campaigns as of like literally just 3 weeks ago. I went through two separate coaching calls to really learn all the details about it to ensure that I'm really maximizing my use of it, which was great. Shout out to Waleed, the best coach for the tool. And we're able to find tons of industries. Like I use it even just to identify new industries. Like there's so many available that you don't even realize. Most people, I assume, are using like a tool like ChatGPT or something to say like, hey, what are the most popular industries? But again, like if you think about it, 10,000 other people just asked ChatGPT the same thing and it told them the same thing. So like pretty much everyone's just targeting tech and stuff like that. So you need to think outside the box. You need to brainstorm. You need to, if you're, a ChatGPT like super user, like I am kind of crazy for it, like you got to think of different prompts to ask it, to start really getting different industries, different results, different opportunities because it gives you great insights onto different strategies you can take to expand your business. But yeah, I would definitely recommend not, targeting one industry only because you're basically putting yourself in a little cardboard box and the whole world is outside around you. So I would suggest at least trying expanding to other industries and just see how it goes. See if you get some results from that.
Love that. Love that. I have another question that I think you'll enjoy in a minute here, but you mentioned something about ListKit and Waleed, who's awesome, and kind of the onboarding experience we run over there. It's like we want to be as hands-on as possible when we sign people up for our software. And people sign up for as low as $97 a month. We still offer them a one-on-one support call with someone that's super experienced, not just with using ListKit, but also cold email strategy in general. And so I think that's a huge selling point for someone that might be on the fence about using a tool like ListKit. That could be intimidating if they're new to this whole cold email thing, but really you're getting a level of support that you won't find anywhere else. You also mentioned using it for your clients, right? Some of the biggest clients at ListKit that use ListKit use it for their cold email lead gen agencies because it's just a lot simpler to get leads from there than from some of these other tools. And also, again, like the quality of the leads and the results that you can get, like getting a call booked every 700 emails, like the ROI is there. But what are some real quick, if you could just hit on maybe one or two, like your favorite things about ListKit and using it as an agency owner, not just to send your own cold emails? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we use it for all of the clients because it's just really good. I think my favorite thing, which Wally showed me, so cool, is when you search for a group of companies or a group of contacts, you can use the tool data visualization, I think it's called in there, and it shows you like what percentage or what number of keywords or job titles or whatever is making up the biggest distribution of the list you get, which is insanely valuable. I don't know why other tools don't have like that. I didn't even think of it, to be honest. I'm just so used to other tools that like when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is like a whole like game changing thing just by itself. So yeah, that is probably definitely my favorite part about it. I also love that you literally like don't have to do any validation. You don't have to do any sending to Smartly. Like you just click and it's done. The amount of lists and stuff that we go through, it really does save a lot of time. And it's just like headaches, clicking back and validating this and that. And then you only get like a certain percentage of the leads and you waste your money because they don't give you the money back. But let's get like, I think if the leads are not validated or not real or whatever it is, like you don't get charged for it. So basically, you're not wasting any dollars. Like all your money is used efficiently as possible, and then you're getting these leads that aren't in the other huge mainstream tools that literally like 98% of the market is using. So you have like 10 steps up basically above those people because now you're emailing people that aren't getting as many outreaches to them. So
Yeah, dude, those are some of my favorite features as well. Like the one about not having to do the verification because list gets triple verified. That was the feature that we built for agency owners specifically because I was running an agency with over 50 clients at a time. And like to build leads lists for every single one of those clients. And then with that list, have to go verify it, clean up the list, then import it into the sending tool. That was like 90% of the work we had to do for cold email. Now it's just a couple clicks of a button and your list is done. You can move to the next client and have it done in again, fraction of the time. So that's awesome. And then data visualization is huge too, because a lot of times you'll do a search and there's thousands of results in there. And you don't want to have to go page by page to see that all the results are fit and there's no irregularities with what's being shown. Because like in a tool like Apollo or Zoom Info, they kind of are treating it like the first page of Google, that first page of search results. They show you the best, the ones that have the most relevance in terms of matching to what you just searched for. But if you're getting 1,000 leads and you only looked at the first page of 25, what if the other 975 are made up of different industries and keywords that you actually don't want? And so that's what data visualization is there for, is rather than scrolling through each page and again, wasting a bunch of time while building your leads list, you could quickly see just a breakdown of the industries, the job titles, the keywords, the locations, all the important filters that you're using to find your ICP and target market and make changes without having, again, to go page by page by page. So I love that you're finding value in those features as well. It's cool to hear. And my last question, bro, is like you mentioned scale, right? One of my favorite things about cold email is you could go from sending from 90 inboxes to, like you said, 250 inboxes. And so what's been your experience scaling? Like, has it been pretty straightforward? Have you seen the results pretty much carry over and scale with the number of emails and email accounts you're sending from? What does that look like for people interested? Maybe they're already seeing results from cold email and they're maybe hesitant to scale it up because they don't know if it'll break, like when they increase their ad spend, how the ads just all of a sudden break.
Yeah, great question. So we're having really good results like as we're scaling. I think that is in part, well, it's definitely in part because I learned a ton of stuff of operations from Client Extension. Like the courses in there are exactly the steps that I needed. So I implemented a lot of stuff from there, which helped a ton. And then in terms of just adding inboxes, I mean, that's why I love this business is because you're just doing more of the same thing. So as you begin to scale, it's really good to like map out like a flow chart to show each step of the process and then try to identify, where are you spending the most time or what parts are slowing you down, where are your bottlenecks? And then you can consider things like some basic automations. And you don't have to get super, like a lot of people get super into like the automations and they're like, I got to automate every single thing. It's like, not necessarily, it's try to take it one step at a time. I think that is such a helpful mindset to have in terms of not getting overwhelmed as you're scaling is look at the big picture, step back at least once a day to see, what have I been working on today or what took the most time. And then, you can either look for someone to help with an automation if that's possible. You can look for someone in Client Ascension always is, an expert in each area. So you can say, hey, like I'm really struggling with this area, or find somebody that's good in that area and look for advice on how to kind of get organized. There's no reason to kind of get scared off by growing your business. It's going to happen. It's a good thing. Change is good. That means you're doing something right. That means you're learning. You should always be learning. I think that's probably my biggest takeaway is like try to connect with as many people as possible and try to learn as much as you possibly can and don't stop. Like just because you've gotten one client, 10 clients, 100 clients, like the market changes all the time. So the more you can learn, the better you are in terms of staying ahead of people instead of being one of the people in the back of the pack who's just trying to catch up and say, oh, what's the new thing that you guys are doing? And it's like, well, that thing's ended a year ago. So
There you go. That's it. It's like things in cold email, they come and go. And so the same strategies that you used a year ago probably won't work today. And that'll be the same maybe next month, in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. Things change fast. And that's why it's so important to work with experts and to be a part of communities that are talking about these changes on an everyday basis and doing live coaching calls like we do at ListKit and Client Ascension. So I think it's awesome you found our community because not only like are you in there as a user and a student, but you're also in there as a huge value add, someone that the rest of the community will benefit from and continue to learn from. So I think that's awesome. That's what's important about community is it's never revolving around one person or one thing. It's a group effort. It's a true mastermind, really, at the end of the day, is what we're discussing here. So my last question for you, Joe, is I guess if someone is listening in and they made it this far, I'd be surprised if they're still not sold on at least trying cold email. But you have a lot of people who have tried cold email and it didn't work for them, or maybe they signed up for an agency service and it didn't work for them. I think a big part of that is a lot of people just don't do it the right way, or they're using methods that are way outdated, which are big focuses of ours in ListKit and Client Ascension. But what would you say to that person and just to get them to reconsider whether or not they should try cold email again for their business?
it works 100%. Like there's not even a question like about that fact. There's like just hundreds of us just in the community that do it every day and are getting good results for our clients. I would say that you should, number one, like believe in yourself. Like you can do it. Just don't listen to everybody else that, the more people you tell, like, oh, I was thinking about starting this or trying to start this business, most people are going to tell you like don't do it or give you every reason in the book that you can't do it or why it's not going to work, or I had this one time it didn't work. Like, no, 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 no. If you keep learning and keep trying, you will win. You will succeed. Like you just need like, and I made so many mistakes, like so many mistakes. Like when, I mean, I'm still making tons of mistakes, and I will continue to do so. And I'm happy about that. I'm proud about that because that means I'm trying new things, and that's the only way to stay ahead. But absolutely, you should do it. Whether that means you're going to do it for other clients or do it just for your own business. Like definitely get into some type of community like the ones that we're discussing here. Like it's literally the only thing we talk about. It's like one big like sports team, honestly. Like that's what it feels like. You're in like the locker rooms, like talking to your buddies about advice and strategies and stuff. It's crazy. And then you have literally like 20 calls a week. Like there's multiple calls a day with experts who help you with literally anything. And you can just talk to them back and forth. They're not just lecturing or anything, which even that would be helpful. But you can literally talk with them, like tell them exactly what your challenges are, and they help you work through them. It's insane. Like the value is just like ridiculous. That's only one piece of the community too. So
Unreal, man. Yeah, unreal. It's so much potential in results that we've seen time and time again, as you said. And it's like hard to say it doesn't work when you literally see it with both your eyes every single day, not just from you, but from others, hundreds of others in our communities, in our programs. So I love that. Thank you, dude. I mean, this has been so helpful. I know you said you've not done anything like this before, but like you're an expert already at doing this. And I know like you just focus on value, focus on explaining to the audience like your real experience with this stuff. And I know they're gonna appreciate it. And for everyone that's still watching, I'm sure they want to know more about you and your business and how they can connect with you, right? And so if you could just drop your contact information, like your Twitter, if you're on there, your social media profiles, and then also a little bit more about your company, like what's your website, where can they learn more, all that good stuff.
totally. Well, number one, if you or when you join Client Ascension, please message me and like say you saw this. That would be really cool just to hear that, and then I can talk to you, and we can work together. But again, our website is leadflowfrontier.com. I should be on Twitter. I'll be on there soon. Sorry about that. My Facebook is just Joseph Zanetti, JosepZanetti. Go ahead and add me. Super happy to talk to people. I love when people reach out to me because I reached out to a lot of other people, and that's kind of where I got a lot of my success from the support of others. So super happy to give back to people. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much. This has been, like I said, just a great interview, very value driven. It's awesome to hear that you're crushing it with cold email and staying ahead of the curve in terms of all the changes and just prioritizing results for you and your clients. So keep at it. And thanks again for your time and sharing value with our audience here today.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
Sweet. Thank you
Have a
guys.
good one.
See you soon.